The United States is at war with Iran. Oil is above $90 a barrel and climbing. The Strait of Hormuz, the single most critical energy choke point on Earth, is effectively closed. A ship is on fire in the Gulf. The American economy just lost 92,000 jobs. And the President of the United States is posting photos of Bill Maher. Let's start with the economy, because that's where this war is already being lost at home. On the morning of March 6th, 2025, the Bureau of Labor Statistics released the February jobs report. The expectation, a gain of 58,000 jobs, not a strong number by any measure, but at least positive. The reality? The United States lost 92,000 jobs. Unemployment ticked up to 4.4%, above expectations and one of the highest readings since 2021. This is only the second month of job losses since the pandemic. And here is what makes this report uniquely alarming. These are February's numbers. Before the war fully escalated, wait until you see March. Healthcare, which had been the last reliable engine of job growth in America, shed 28,000 positions due to strikes. Young workers are being hit hardest. African American, Hispanic, and Asian American unemployment rates are all rising fastest. The frozen job market isn't touching everyone equally. It never does. Now, the Trump administration's response to all of this was instructive. Kevin Hassett, the National Economic Advisor, went on television and said, and this is a direct quote, "The economy is really strong." The Labor Secretary, who is currently under investigation for a range of misconduct allegations, went on state media and said the report was, quote, "not something we wanted to see," but pivoted immediately to blaming weather, strikes, and the birth-death model. The Energy Secretary said gas prices would come down in, quote, "weeks." These are the people managing the American economy during a war. To understand what is happening to the global economy, you need to understand one body of water. The Strait of Hormuz is 21 miles wide at its narrowest point. Through it passes approximately 20% of the world's oil supply. Every single day, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Kuwait, the UAE, Qatar, all of their energy exports, all of it must pass through this strait to reach the world. As of this week, it is effectively closed. The United Kingdom's Maritime Trade Operations Center has issued an official advisory. A vessel near Oman was struck by unknown projectiles. A tug is on fire. Traffic through the strait has collapsed by over 90%. Qatar, which operates one of the largest liquefied natural gas operations on Earth, has issued a stark warning. Oil prices may hit $150 per barrel within days. Natural gas prices could rise 400%. All Gulf energy exporters are preparing to shut down production entirely. And Qatar says even if the war ended today, it would take weeks, possibly months, to return to normal. Now here is the compounding problem. Donald Trump announced that the U.S. Development Finance Corporation would provide insurance to vessels attempting to transit the strait, essentially guaranteeing ships against attack so commerce could continue. There was just one problem. The DFC has $154 billion in capacity. The insurance liability required $352 billion. They were $200 billion short. Closing that gap would require an act of Congress, which has not happened. So Trump told the world, "We'll insure your ships." And the insuring entity did not have the money. This is the Trump doctrine in one sentence. Now let's talk about what the commander-in-chief was doing while all of this was unfolding. At the same moment, oil was surging, jobs were collapsing, and ships were being struck in the Gulf. Donald Trump posted, "There will be no deal with Iran except unconditional surrender." He followed this with, and we are not making this up, 8 consecutive posts attacking Bill Maher. 8. Then he called CNN's Dana Bash, a network he routinely attacks as fake news, and rated the war with Iran at, quote, a 12 or 15 out of 10. He said America is doing better than anybody could have ever even dreamed. He compared the next Iranian leadership transition to Venezuela. He said Cuba would fall pretty soon, and he'd send Marco Rubio to run it. On rising gas prices, which are directly hurting every working American right now, Trump told Bash, "That's all right, it'll be short term. This is a man who ran for president on the price of eggs." He also posted publicly on social media that we are moving thousands of people out of various countries throughout the Middle East quietly but seamlessly. Quietly. On social media, where Iran can read it. The reality is that the State Department had no evacuation plan because nobody told American citizens in the region that this war was coming. Commercial airports across the Middle East are now under attack. The State Department's official guidance to stranded Americans: find a commercial flight. This is where the story gets significantly more dangerous. According to 3 senior U.S. officials who spoke to the Washington Post, Russia is actively providing Iran with intelligence on the locations of U.S. ships, aircraft, personnel, and assets across the Middle East. This has been described as, quote, a pretty comprehensive effort. Separately, U.S. intelligence now suggests China may be preparing to provide Iran with financial assistance, spare parts, and missile components, according to multiple sources who spoke to CNN. When asked about Russia and China's involvement, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said, direct quote, "They're not really a factor here. They are providing targeting intelligence to a country we are bombing." And the Secretary of Defense says they are not a factor. What we are watching is not simply a U.S.-Iran conflict. We are watching a proxy confrontation between the United States on one side and a coalition of Russia, China, and Iran on the other. This is not Cold War history. Let's put the economic picture in full context because the contrast is stark. During the entire Biden administration, all 4 years, there was not a single month of job losses. Not one. Under the Trump administration, multiple months of job losses within the first year. Qatar's assessment of the global stakes is worth sitting with. If this war continues even for a few weeks, global GDP will take a measurable hit. Gulf energy exporters are preparing to go offline. Natural gas, which heats homes and powers factories across Europe and Asia, may rise 400%. Oil above $150 per barrel would represent an economic shock not seen since the 1970s. The last time oil spiked this way, it triggered a recession. We are not talking about economic discomfort. We are talking about a potential global economic contraction driven by a war that was started without a congressional declaration, without an evacuation plan, and without a strategy for what happens the morning after. Before we close, let's note what the president said he wants from Iran. Unconditional surrender. A new leader who, quote, treats the United States and Israel very well. A post-war Iran modeled on Venezuela, a country that, as of this recording, is in economic collapse with a disputed authoritarian government and widespread civil suffering. That is the model. He said he may accept another religious leader from the Islamic Republic as long as they are sufficiently compliant. He said Cuba would fall soon. He signed his message to the nation during wartime, MIGA, Make Iran Great Again. 45 years ago, American diplomats were held hostage in Tehran for 444 days. The playbook we've covered on this channel, the embassy burnings, the proxy networks, the strategic patience, all of it traces back to that moment. Now we are in direct war, and the president is rating it 15 out of 10. The markets know something the administration's surrogates won't say on television. When the jobs report dropped, they tanked immediately. When oil crossed $90, they kept falling. History doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives in a jobs report, in a shipping advisory, in the quiet closure of a 21-mile strait that the entire world's energy supply must pass through. We are going to keep tracking this. Every data point, every development, every gap between what they say and what is actually happening. If this analysis matters to you, subscribe, share this video. This is Authority and Aftermath. We'll see you in the next one.